Welcome. And so now, finally, this one's going to work. And so if you guys have questions, you can type in those questions into the comment field on Instagram, and then Mr. Post and I can explore your questions. We had a few people who submitted questions up front. And so I want to go ahead and talk about a few of those, because there's some people asking some questions about larger YOSA questions, kind of about where we're going, right? What the futures of things is. And so I wanted to just update everybody on some of those questions. So one of those questions was, are there still going to be auditions in June? So earlier this week, YOSA announced, we're very sorry to say, that we are canceling our rehearsals and concerts through June 1st. In that same announcement, we also announced that we're going to postpone auditions until later in the summer. And we're going to go to video auditions rather than live auditions for next year's orchestras. So the details of that will be sent out by April 15th. So because we still have to get all the systems in place for you to be able to upload your audition videos and all those kinds of things. I can tell you that if you are auditioning for next year, for the 2020-2021 season, it's a lot of 20s, that you have until July 15th to submit your audition video. We have plenty of time to prepare for auditions, and we will be sending out guidelines to every YOSA musician and everybody who signed up for auditions, and we'll be posting them on the website by April 15th. So you can submit a video recording, and we'll have more information on that going on our website and going out, again, by April 15th. So you'll hear more information on that soon. The other question that came up is people asking, will the trip be canceled? So many of you know that YOSA has been planning for more than a year to go to Philadelphia and New York and Boston in June. It's become clear now that that's not going to be possible this June because Carnegie Hall is going to be closed through the end of July. Our venue in Boston is closed and not available to us. And so we expect that we're not going to be able to tour in June of 2020. But we haven't yet got our plan figured out about how that's going to end, how all that's going to work out, because we're working with a bunch of other companies. We have travel companies and concert venues that we're working with. And so we have to get all of our contracts arranged with them and figure out all of the financial circumstances. So I can tell you we will be postponing or rescheduling the tour in some way, and that there will be more information coming on that. The only reason we can't tell you all the details yet is we don't know. We're working with other companies, and so we've got to figure out, we've got to get them to give us news on or refunds and all those kinds of things. And so you know how this kind of thing is. Everybody's uncertain about everything right now, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen next week, much less next month. And so that's part of why there's been a delay on giving information on exactly what's going to happen with the tour. But I can tell you our plan is to reschedule or postpone the tour, and more information will be coming to all the musicians who are going on tour in the near future, as soon as we're able to figure those details out. So, sorry to take up your time, Mr. Post, but those are the questions that were coming up in the feed before this event started. For everybody who's here, I'm here with Andy Post, the conductor of YOSA Symphonic Winds. And Mr. Post, one of the things that's nice about these Q&As is it's a good chance for YOSA musicians to get to know you. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a conductor? What led you on this journey to become a professional musician and become a conductor?
Well, it's kind of funny because I didn't plan on doing this when I was in middle school and high school. I was very involved with band, and I was also involved with baseball and soccer. So I was a busy high school student. And I started to like band a little bit. I actually started to practice. I was like, oh, this is more fun. When you practice, you're better at it. And then when I went off to Baylor University, I went in as a business major and did not plan on doing music as a major, but was in marching band and took some classes. And I was like, this is pretty fun. The business route was not for me. I didn't enjoy the, let's call it fakeness of everything. And so then I talked with music professors and whatnot, and I decided I was pretty good at my trombone. I was going to become a performance major and end up going to grad school and doctorate school and take auditions. Well, in the meantime, I started teaching some trombone lessons, and it was really cool to see when the students came back the next week or so and things were clicking. And I was like, you know what? I kind of like this. So then I went music full route and got 2 degrees, got a performance degree and an education degree, and originally just wanted to work with high school students, but I started in middle school and I absolutely love starting beginners. And just got in the trenches, so to speak, kept playing and kept teaching, and was super fun. And here I am, fast forward 25, 26 years later, and I am so glad I'm doing this. I would not want to be doing anything else. I have a definite passion for it. I love music, and I love teaching music, and I love seeing student musicians get excited about music.
Fantastic. Well, so Sydney Silva asked a question: why are you a band conductor and not an orchestra conductor? What drew you to band music, and you know, why the world of band rather than the world of orchestra?
Well, you know, I played trombone, and that was in a band when I grew up. My schooling was all concert band, jazz band, etc. I got to play in full orchestra only in the region orchestras where I went to school in the Houston area. You know, orchestras just kind of got around to being in the schools in the last 25, 30 years, really, here in the South Texas area. So band was the way to go for me. And then as I got up to Baylor, I started playing in the Baylor Symphony, and then also made the Waco Symphony Orchestra. I got to play that, and it's my favorite thing to do and hear is to hear a symphony orchestra. But the availability and the resources to actually conduct an orchestra really weren't there. And so YOSA gave me that opportunity in the summer camps, and I've conducted full orchestras, but not just string. Being married to an orchestra director certainly has its perks, and then to have an accomplished, one of our sons, an accomplished cellist, that certainly helps out. But to teach it and to get in the trenches and to teach the fingerings and the patterns, I could not really be that successful unless I really had to get down to it. I mean, I can conduct music, but as far as, hey, that should be a low 2 or a high 2, I don't know.
Right. So you're a trombonist. Do you play any other instruments?
I mean, I play all the low brass. And then in band, to be a really good band director, we had to take all the methods classes in college. I actually took every instrument, including the strings. And when I was at the time and then now, I can get around and do a little bit. But I can play all the wind instruments, all the woodwinds and all the brass, and I can get around on percussion as well. Teaching that on a daily basis at a middle school certainly helps. But I also listen, and I do a lot of reading and a lot of research on just fingerings and knowing pedagogically what to say to students to help them out. So I feel like I can navigate the wind instruments pretty well.
Excellent. So what about favorite composers? Ben Hackett from the YOSA staff asks about, because he's a euphonium player and loves band music and all kinds of music. He's curious about your favorite band composer, but you can talk about your favorite composers in general too. Yeah,
well, band, it's kind of a tie. I'd say Holst and Granger are the two. And those are our roots as wind band. That's where we came from. We're not around as long as the string instruments. And so when those guys started writing, very prolific for the wind genre. And so that's why it's so important. Not only do I like it, but it's so important. I've programmed the last 5 seasons with YOSA. I think our student musicians need to play Holst and Granger. I mean, that's where wind band started. And it's so important. Those are my 2 favorite. And then Tchaikovsky, without a doubt, is like, he's if the bases are loaded and I need a home run, I'm going to put on Tchaikovsky. That's my go-to. I just love Tchaikovsky.
Well, and I know you and your family go to San Antonio Symphony concerts a fair amount.
We do.
So you like listening to some classical music in the orchestral world.
Right.
When you think back over the San Antonio Symphony concerts you've been to over the last couple of years, Are there any things that especially stand out for you of performances that you thought were really amazing?
Well, our San Antonio Symphony they're amazing. And if you haven't seen, they just put out a video of the Nimrod, and it's just gorgeous. And there's something that music speaks to us all the time, but especially right now. If you look on all the feel-good videos that's going viral, it's all music. New York Phil, the Berlin Phil, San Antonio Symphony. We had, my wife and I had season tickets to the symphony before kids were around. So when we first moved here and started teaching, we got tickets to the symphony, and I think it's good to clear the ears. When you're teaching middle school, and I love our YOSA student musicians, but there's times where we don't always play the right notes. And then you go and hear our San Antonio Symphony. I mean, they're just absolutely incredible musicians. And so we need to all go more. And when this is all said and done, we need to remember one of the things that got us through this, and that's our orchestra. And they can sure use some love from us, I think. So I think as much as we can post and share and remind everybody, hey, our San Antonio Symphony is a pretty stout orchestra. We went to a recent favored performance, was the Dvorak cello concerto. And then they also did Taulerenspiegel by Strauss, and it just really featured so many soloists in our symphony, and they're just outstanding. And of course, the Dvorak cello concerto is just incredible work. But to see that and experience that with our family has been that was one of the most memorable performances, and of course, it was just a handful of months ago.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I keep finding, and I think a lot of people are probably in the same boat, right? That with the sheltering at home, time moves differently. It's really hard for me to believe that just 3 weeks ago, just 4 weeks ago, YOSA played our last concert, where we played with this wonderful Tejano singer, Isabel Marie Sanchez, and we did a tribute to Selena with the YOSA Philharmonic and playing Selena's music at the Tobin Center. And I mean, I can't believe that was only 4 weeks ago. It feels like months ago, because so much is happening so fast right now that things are just going crazy. It's amazing. I think it's an opportunity, though. For me, I've been using this time not only to just try and get my work done and spend time with my family and make sure my kids are fed and taken care of, but also I'm writing a little bit of music. I'm reconnecting with my mandolin and practicing a little more than I usually do, and so I hope all of us are doing that. So I wonder, Mr. Post, during this time, are there projects you're involved with that you don't normally have time for as a middle school band director?
Yeah,
I know you probably still have plenty of work with your middle school band.
Right. One of the most fun things I've had doing recently is just playing my trombone. During the normal work week, I would get in minimal practice time at best, and that would include playing with my classes at school. And, outside of that, it was hard to get a lot of practice time in. And so that's really enabled me. I've always told the symphonic winds, often when we have time, we waste it. Now we have, each day is unmeasured in a way. It's like, okay, what are we going to do today? And to get out of the groundhog rut, the movie Groundhog, where every single day is exactly the same. That's what we're trying to, I think it's important to get a routine established, but also put a little variety in that routine. But playing my trombone has been really an outlet recently. And then I've gone on lots of walks when it wasn't raining. I was walking anywhere from 3 to 5 miles a day, and I would just queue up a different playlist, whether it be classical music or just some other music of my choice. But that's been really good, just to walk and decompress and listen and really listen. I think it's important to just listen. I think you talked about that on your little podcast, or the little video you made about how do we listen? How are we more aware, listening with awareness? And that's really important, especially now. Go outside and just sit and listen to music and pick something. You could take a Beethoven project and go 9 straight days and go, okay, today I'm going to listen to Beethoven Symphony 1. And clear your mind of everything else, turn the TV off, just go find a quiet place, put on some headphones and just listen.
Yeah.
And that's been my other thing. And I've been reading some books as well.
Right. Well, there's no question. I'm sure for many of you, if you're like other people I've been talking to, there have been days that have been hard, right, in the last couple of weeks.
For sure.
There's a lot of anxiety right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so trying to find ways for music to be solace, for music to make you feel better is really important. Kyler Benedict has a question. He's asked a couple of times now whether I play an instrument. And so I got to tell you guys my secret history. So I'm a recovering viola player. I started playing viola in 4th grade, and I played viola all through elementary school and middle school and high school. And then I went to college as a composition major. I was studying music composition. And but I learned that I would get paid to play the viola more frequently than I would get paid to write music. And so in my early 20s, I was a very busy professional viola player in the Philadelphia area, and subbed with a lot of orchestras and played with a lot of different orchestras in town, played, more than 100 weddings and, just all kinds of different work in my early 20s. I got good enough on the viola that I could play professionally. I in my 20s and 30s, I taught viola. I played a lot. And then about 15 years ago, my daughter, actually almost 16 years ago, my daughter was born. And the day my daughter was born, I looked at my life and said, I don't have enough time to do everything in my life. And the thing that I let go of was practicing the viola. And what I can tell you is if you stop practicing for 15 years, you don't want to play very much anymore, because I don't play the viola well anymore. But I used to be a good violist. Today, I play the mandolin, and I play in a band called Slowpoke, and that's my musical hobby. And I'm a pretty good mandolin player these days, but I don't really play the viola in public anymore. And then, like Mr. Post, when I was in school, I studied other instruments. I don't play as many instruments as well as Mr. Post does, but I can, get my way through a scale on most instruments. And I play percussion a little bit better, play piano pretty badly, but a little bit better than some instruments. But very early on in my career, I started to focus on composing and conducting. So another question from Zora Dixon. Zora was asking about, could YOSA do a video similar to the recent San Antonio Symphony video of the Enigma variation? Or if you've seen another great video that came out on Friday, just 2 days ago, was a New York Philharmonic video of Bolero that's absolutely amazing. You guys should check it out. But could YOSA do a video like that? I mean, yeah, we hope so. We're working on some ideas. The video editing is the hardest part about putting together a video like that, and so we're doing some research. And I'm also doing a project right now with the UTSA Orchestra where we're making a video, and that'll teach me a little bit more about how well this works and some of our options. So the short answer is we'll do something in the next few weeks. The other pitch I would make is all of you should make videos on your own. YOSA is sharing videos of YOSA musicians through our social media, and we've got lots of good ones that have already come in that we're going to be sending out soon. But I would encourage all of you, put on a YOSA t-shirt and, get up the acapella app and play a trio with yourself, or play something with your siblings, or put together a video. Alumni are also absolutely welcome to make videos. If you make a video, send me a link, and YOSA really wants to share the stories of the music you're making during this hiatus from our ability to play together in a group. Mr. Post, speaking of playing together in a group, what was the first musical experience you had where you really felt that electric thrill of what it's like to be on stage with a whole bunch of people and have something go well? Most of us have that memory of sometimes in high school or sometimes in college of that moment where you just went, oh my gosh, there's nothing like this. Do you have a memory like that?
I do. There was one in high school where we were playing, believe it or not, it was just a Sousa March, just playing Stars and Stripes Forever. And my parents loved music, and my dad actually marched in the Ohio State marching band and was a snare drummer. And so that was kind of ingrained in me growing up, just music and the love for music and the passion. I think I got that from him. That was in high school. But then when I got to college, and when I first got to play with the Baylor Wind Ensemble, and Michael Haithcock was our conductor, who is now up at the University of Michigan, and that's where I learned my conducting from. I have a soft spot for all of my teachers, him, Jerry Lukehart as well, and Stephen Hyde. They were all great mentors for me. But I had experiences like that in every ensemble at Baylor. It wasn't every single concert, but the highlight for sure was we had Fred Fennell come, and he conducted Lincolnshire Posey, the Granger work, and he didn't have a score, and he didn't conduct us very much, actually. He just kind of showed colors. If he wanted the horns to do something, he would just kind of point to the horns and put his hand in the air. And if he wanted more vibrato, he would just do this. There was really no beat pattern. It was just kind of, he was expressing himself. And it was really interesting. I was having this conversation with Ryan, our youngest son, the other day about, he watches a lot of videos like I do, professional orchestras. And he said, you know, sometimes the best conductors in the world, sometimes they don't conduct. And I was like, yeah, you're exactly right. That was one of my favorite memories, though, was being on stage with Fred Fennell playing trombone. And here is one of the greatest educators that's ever walked the planet. And I got to play under his baton. I think that would probably be the number one highlight that I can think at the top of my head. And then in the Waco Symphony, I got to play Tchaik 6. That is my favorite Tchaikovsky symphony, and some great trombone writing. That was another electric moment. And then one more was playing Waco Symphony, and we played the Mozart Requiem, and with the Baylor singer, the Waco chamber chorus, and I got to do the big trombone solo in that, and that was nerve-wracking, but oh my gosh, how fun. Those are some of the highlights that top 5 for sure, easily.
Mr. Post, great, rocking the tuba mirum solo.
Yes.
That's cool, man. That's serious business.
And if you're a trombonist and you're serious about moving forward with your musical endeavors, you need to learn that, and you need to memorize it, and you need to play it for as many people as possible.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing about this time that's kind of neat. Is, you know, I mean, we all have schoolwork we have to do and things we have to keep up with, but we do have a little bit more flexibility in our lives right now in terms of time for most of us, where if you have the ability to make more choices about your time, you know, part of that time could be spent listening to some music that you might not otherwise have time to listen to, or practicing a trombone excerpt that you might not otherwise have time to practice. And I keep trying to remind myself of that. You know, it doesn't mean I don't sometimes sit and just play Sudoku on my phone. We don't have Animal Crossing at our house yet, but I'm afraid that it may be coming soon, and then all bets are off. But we'll see. You mentioned mentors, Mr. Post, those conductors who had a huge influence on you. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What did you learn from those mentors you worked with at earlier points in your career?
So when I was in middle school and high school, my mentor was Jim Blackshear, who's no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago, but he just made us want to be better, and you always wanted to please him. And it was a band family, a music family. I learned that right off the bat. And then when I went up to Baylor, I remember one story. I took conducting with Mr. Haycock, and I took private lessons. And I went into his office one day, and I was feeling really good about studying my score. I was ready to go. And we sat down, and he goes, okay, there's 3 cymbal crashes in this work. Where are they? And I just kind of looked at him. He goes, I'll see you later. Come back when you know. That was the end of the lesson. Point being is you need to know your score in and out. But it was a great kick in the butt, so to speak, because I went back and I learned where those cymbal crashes were, and then I went back, it was a couple of days later, and he didn't ask me that again. But his point was, you need to know the score well. His whole point was there were 3 huge crescendos in that work, and that's what he was going at. You need to know the music. You need to know what's going on, and that was his point. He didn't care where the cymbal crashes were. He wanted me to go, hey, there's 3 huge moments in the work. I bet they're at that point, you know. So it was that challenge that those mentors gave me of just wanting to be the best I could. And then Jerry Lukehart challenged me, and he said, you know, you're good enough, you're smart enough. you need to set a goal to try to make an A in every single methods class. And that was very hard to do at any music school, but at Baylor, it was really hard. We had to take every instrument, and I did it. That was a goal I set, and it was a lot of work. I practiced my own trombone 3 or 4 hours a night, but whatever method class I was taking, say I was taking saxophone or I was taking flute, I practiced that for 30 minutes every single night. And I think the biggest thing I learned from all of my mentors was be really diligent and be really organized and come up with your own schedule and stick to it. And you have to sacrifice some things to do that. So if there's people listening, watching this that are like, I'm going to be the world's best, violinist or whatever instrument you want to be. Well, how much work are you putting in? What is your practice regimen? Are you wanting to be a conductor later? Well, are you surrounding yourself with people who are going to make you be better? Are you asking questions? Are you seeking out advice, or are you wasting your time? So, I mean, it's how good do you want to be, basically? And we're here to help you as YOSA staff and conductors and faculty, but we don't have all the answers. We have a lot of them, but we'll point you in the right direction of people that do. But dig deep down and find yourself and latch onto a mentor that can challenge you, but also give you tough love when you need it too. And I think those are the biggest things I learned. And I still keep in touch with those guys today through social media and email, and it's a great tool. And one thing I've learned is they're always there for you, and we're always going to be there for all of our student musicians as well.
Absolutely. Sam Igbo asked a question about whether you can audition for YOSA on multiple instruments. And the answer is absolutely. In all of our auditions, you can audition on multiple instruments. And we have people who do that. We have had even people who play in multiple groups. We have had musicians who play cello in one group and clarinet in another group, for example. So it is absolutely possible to audition on more than one instrument. The one caution that I would say is you want to make sure that you are spending enough time with each instrument that you are not spreading yourself too thin. You can keep up with everything. All right, Mr. Post, we've got the tough question. Some people know you're an Astros fan.
Right.
So, should the Astros give back the title? These are not my words. These are not my words.
I see
but
it.
Isaiah Dixon, a Yankees fan, wants to know. I happen to know he's a Yankees fan. Should the Astros give back the title for, quote, cheating? Unquote.
Right. I see the question. I'll tell you this, that I've told everybody. I've had this question asked to me a lot. And my oldest son is a big Astros fan as well. And the Major League Baseball did their investigation, and the results are what they are. I'll tell you this: they're still my team. I still love my team, and I'm disappointed in what they did, but I'm still going to cheer for my team and still love my team. That's the answer I give. It's like a kid. Like when one of your kids does something that you're disappointed in, well, you don't just give them away, and so that's the same with the Astros. They're still my team. I still love them. People are going to do things that disappoint you. I think it shows a perfect example of nobody's perfect. And we move on and move forward. And right now, in the whole scheme of this right now, I would love to just see a baseball game. So
there you go.
Yeah.
They can steal all the signals they want as long as I can watch the game.
That's right.
Mr. Post, it's what I think of with you is like even the worst Star Wars movie is still a Star Wars movie, right?
That's right. Yeah, episode 2, I would guess, would be the consensus, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Especially among our generation.
Yeah, I'm still going to watch it, though. I mean.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still.
And John Williams still wrote great scores. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's still cool lightsaber fights in those movies. So.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. Each Sunday we'll have a Q&A like this with one of the YOSA conductors. And next Sunday is Easter Sunday, so we are going to take that week off. But then 2 weeks from today, we will be back with another one of these Q&As. So watch our social media, watch your email for more information on this. Please make sure that you're staying engaged with your instrument. And please stay in touch with YOSA. A lot of you heard from your conductors this week in the wake of our need to shut down the rest of the season. And really every one of those conductors said, hey, if you need something, let me know. Please know we're there for you. We're there for you this month. We're there for you this year. We're there for you in the future. If you find that you need help or support or advice, please don't be afraid to reach out to us. And Mr. Post, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
I appreciate being on here. I was looking forward to it all week. And just to all the YOSA musicians out there, we sure do miss the heck out of y'all. There's nothing better than being in rehearsal together. And I said this on my video to the Symphonic Winds. When all this is over and we finally get back together, it's going to be an absolute glorious time together to make music again.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's I've got such this crazy itch. You know, tomorrow it'll be 4 weeks since I stood in front of an orchestra. That is the longest I've gone without conducting in my adult life. And for me to think, you know, I don't know how much longer it's going to be before I get to stand up in front of an orchestra. I can't imagine going. It's like I can't conduct by myself. I can't. I mean, I could, but I look like a weirdo. So and I know all of us who do this feel the same way. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We love you. We miss you. And if you've got a favorite YOSA conductor who you want to see, trust me, we're all going to rotate through here. You're going to be seeing more of these. Everybody take care of yourself.